Last time on
JeffCompass.
Sonic 3D Blast was released in 1996 for the Sega Genesis and Sega Saturn. This game was developed by Traveler's Tales, who nowadays are known for making the LEGO video games. Traveler's Tales started working with Sega after they took interest in the Toy Story games they developed. The two companies maintained a pretty good relationship, also creating Sonic R and working together until Super Monkey Ball Adventure. And then they stopped working together after that game, and I wonder why.
How many YouTube videos start with a sigh? I feel like a lot of them. This video is not an easy one for me to make. Over the past year, I've built a pretty good relationship with Sega and Super Monkey Ball specifically. We've tweeted back and forth really chumly's a word. I got a Banana Mania review code, and while I'm not entirely a Sega YouTuber, I've recently expanded to Jet Set Radio and Sonic. But listen, even if I have a great relationship with a company, it's not gonna stop me from being honest about a particular product. And now we've gotten to the point in the Super Monkey Ball retrospective where Monkey Ball just got a bit worse. But I set out to review every Super Monkey Ball game, and today that's what you're gonna get, an honest review of Super Monkey Ball Adventure. So Sega, I love you. I'm sorry if this review is a little more mean than usual. Please don't hate me. Or do.
For those newer to my channel, I've been doing a Super Monkey Ball retrospective since July last year. These videos might be worth watching if you're curious for context and what I think of the series up to this point, but for anyone who needs a very brief recap, here's the gist of it. Super Monkey Ball 1 and 2 were great games, damn good in fact, and were some of the best-selling and most noteworthy party games the GameCube had to offer. The gameplay was very simple, having the player roll one of the 4 selectable monkeys to a goal in various difficulties of challenge modes, and of course the minigames were quite excellent as well. These two games would later get ported to the Xbox and PS2 under the name Super Monkey Ball Deluxe, and the series would also receive some handheld iterations on the way. So what was the next step for this franchise? After all, it's not uncommon for a franchise to change its genre, attempt a spin-off, or simply just try being a bit more experimental. Super Monkey Ball's early titles varied in quality, but were ultimately pretty similar in gameplay and style, and it appeared that it was time for something new, and thus the development of Super Monkey Ball Adventure was greenlit. Sega wanted to grow the universe of Super Monkey Ball, give it some lore, and expand the story that it introduced in Super Monkey Ball 2's story mode. However, the majority of Sega was hard at work with the next main title, which was in development for the Nintendo Wii, being Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz, planned as a launch release that would ultimately reinvent the series, for better or for worse. For worse. So, Sega, while still supervising the product, passed off the core development to Traveler's Tales, a company they worked with in the past, and as mentioned in the flashback earlier, also worked on Sonic 3D Blast. Traveler's Tales recently finished development on Crash Twinsanity, from which what I understand, the team sort of copied the engine from Adventure 4, although I couldn't confirm this. The vision for Adventure's look was to be hyper-realistic, and yeah, they didn't really do that. The main pitch behind the game's graphical style in the early stages of development was to base the graphics around a specific Honda commercial with flying engines and bunny rabbits. I did some research and I think I found the commercial.
Here's a little song for anyone who's ever hated. Can hate be good? Can hate be great? Can hate be good? Can hate be great? Can hate be something we don't hate?
I don't know, I couldn't find any other Honda commercials with flying engines and bunnies, so this is the best we got. That being said, it could just be me. I see no resemblance between this and Monkey Ball Adventure. The game's development was ultimately somewhat rushed. They don't outright say it, but in the developer diaries, they use PR speech such as,
"This was an intriguing proposition, how to take a well-known and popular franchise and take it in a different direction. A large undertaking given the short amount of development time proposed."
If you take out the PR filter, basically translates to, oh god, oh help, please help us, we need more time for this game, it's gonna be a disaster! Super Monkey Ball Adventure was released on 3 consoles, being the second multi-platform release in the series, the first being Super Monkey Ball Deluxe. Adventure was released on the Nintendo GameCube, PlayStation 2, and ultimately would also come to the PlayStation Portable, Sony's handheld console at the time. These versions have a number of differences between them, but we'll save that for later.
I want to take a minute and talk about my history with Super Monkey Ball Adventure, as this is a game I actually reviewed on my channel 6 years ago. As a teenager, I ran a YouTube series called Shovelware. It wasn't good. I didn't know what I was doing. I still don't know what I'm doing.
Anyways, this was an episode on the second season of the show. I had my friend, who goes by Amazing II, funnily enough, join me, and we kind of just played until the second world. It wasn't super in-depth, and I don't think it's really worth that much as a video, besides being a good memory between me and my good friend.
Here's some funny trivia that I never got a chance to talk about publicly.
Originally, I made a thumbnail where I took some promo art, slapped some sunglasses and a fedora on II. I don't know, I was 16, but what's amazing is a video game soundtrack channel, which is now deleted, called Shake TV, copied this thumbnail for his uploads of Super Monkey Ball Adventure and used it as his cover art. To this day, I don't know if he just thought this was the genuine cover of the game or if he was just trying to be funny, but I still find this absolutely hilarious. A small conspiracy of mine is that if you search Super Monkey Ball Adventure, at least as of 2022, it doesn't show my video in any Google Images results, meaning he could have very well specifically just found my dumb thumbnail funny. Another thing I find interesting is the Crappy Games Wiki seemed to credit my video with finding a glitch of this game.
Falling off of the stage causes the game to become unplayable and zoom out of the level and move up towards the sky with various model pieces, which was discovered by JeffCompass as when his friend fell off of Jungle Island while he was inserting codes, he discovered that the game stopped working, and that he saw bits and pieces that he thought were monkey poo, which got him very confused.
So I have to admit, I didn't come up with this glitch. This was someone else's. I'm not proud of this and wouldn't do this nowadays, but I remember at the time searching Super Monkey Ball Adventure glitches and just copying this for the video. So whoever added that to the wiki might want to change that. Or not, but I deny credit for this. I feel bad, and my lawyer has told me to deny this. Anyways, the reason I mention these two things is that my old-ass video kind of has a sense of relevancy as it pertains to Super Monkey Ball Adventure. That's not because my video was good, but as it stands, there's really not a ton of reviews or documentation for this game out there. Currently, the most popular video is from my buddy, Pixel Pursuits, and then beyond that, there's not much else. No one talks about this release, like, ever.
Today we're going to structure this review a little differently than we previously had throughout this retrospective. This isn't going to be your standard graphics, music, controls, one at a time type of thing. Instead, I'm going to go sequentially. I want to take us in order, world by world, with some deviations, of course, because there's a lot of content, but I want us to go through this adventure together. A Super Monkey Ball adventure, if you will. God, that was so damn cheesy of me to say, but I'm going to leave it in.
The game starts with a storybook presentation. It instantly references Super Monkey Ball 2, which was the first game in the series with a story, and sets the scene for the game. You're tasked with spreading joy and trying to get two torn communities united for a marriage, to keep it simple. The four monkeys giggle around as a plane crashes overhead. Okay, wow, and yeah, that's a legit plane crash. I don't know if these monkeys survived or not, but there's the plane from the intro later, just fucking blown up. Okay. Anyways, oh my god, you get some letter and have to go to the castle. The first world, Jungle Island, is quite nice in design. Going off the developer diaries for this game, they apparently based this directly off of the Jungle Island seen in the cutscenes in Super Monkey Ball 2. Right off the bat, one thing that I do appreciate about this game is that you can play as any of the four monkeys in the story mode, something you couldn't do in Super Monkey Ball 2. Early on, it's nice to see that the game developers had quite a bit of fun with the animations of the monkeys. You can flatten them, bonk into them, and knock them over, and the design of your monkey is quite animated as well as you play. However, a lot of NPCs are fairly boring, just standing there and talking with very minimal movement. They also sound like II for some reason. Even Gongon and the monkeys that look like Gongon just use a deeper pitch. And Mimi uses, I believe, just a higher pitch of II's voice samples. I'm not sure why they resorted to this when they could have just taken voice clips from Super Monkey Ball 2's story mode. I mean, you guys had the source material right there, and I don't think it would have been hard to take. Right away, we learn the primary gameplay loop of Super Monkey Ball Adventure. This is doing missions for the townsfolk. In this first area, for instance, we have to knock monkeys over wearing top hats to find his missing daughter. You can't run them over though, you gotta go with the precise amount of speed. Boom! Another mission we find here is posing for a picture for a photographer monkey. These ultimately become recurring missions throughout the game. I hate these missions because it's never clear where you're supposed to go. You're kind of just given a vague idea where the photo is without any real clarification on how to get there, so it usually takes me a few tries. For every mission you do in this game, you gain a little bit more of the world's joy percentage, basically how many monkeys in the world are happy. The primary idea behind each world is to get to 60% of the joy in a given world before the story can progress. So this is basically the main gameplay. You're the chore man, you're doing people's busy work. So I've done all the missions in this initial area, I talked to every possible citizen, run around a bunch, and I don't know where to go. There's one pathway blocked off with rocks, so clearly you can't progress there. The only place I could go to was a pathway that led to an enemy. At first, I just thought this was a barrier and didn't know how to beat them, so I turned back. You're actually supposed to just run into their stomach when they expose it to you, which I don't know, this didn't feel super obvious to me. Shortly after, we reached this game's secondary mechanic, classic Super Monkey Ball levels that you must complete to unlock a barrier. To progress, you usually need to play all but one of the levels provided, giving you a little bit of freedom if one level's just too difficult.
I actually really like that you don't have to play all the levels to progress, because you know what that actually reminds me of is Super Monkey Ball 2's story mode. At least there you could do things out of order, and in Deluxe you didn't have to play every level to move on. That, and also taking the fact that you can choose any character this time around as opposed to the originals where you had to play as Ai, shows that they seriously tried to take elements from the original story mode and make them better. And I think whether or not you like this game or not, it's something to be respected.
Even though you don't have to play them all, the game still gives you the option to go in and finish it, which I did, because you know what? I enjoyed this part more than the rest of the game. Gotta be honest. The classic style levels are actually really good. I think a lot of them, at least purely from a level design perspective, would potentially fit in with the old Super Monkey Ball games. There's some great levels here, and I think it's a highlight of the entire game if we're being honest. However, there are a few downsides. For one, there's no original music in these stages. Instead, they recycle tracks from Super Monkey Ball 1. I think that's fairly disappointing, as one of my favorite things from the original games were the stellar presentations. The world themes themselves are based off of worlds you explore in the actual story modes, and I gotta be honest, while I don't think the themes are bad, I really don't think these levels graphically look very good. They're certainly not terrible. I think the issue for this entire game is that it released after Super Monkey Ball 1 and 2, which looked a ton better. I mean, this game didn't even support progressive scan, and came out nearly 4 years after Monkey Ball 2, which did, and looked phenomenal in my opinion, even to this day. If this was its own game released in the early 2000s, I don't think I'd feel this way about the graphics, but just knowing how great the game before it looked, it definitely gives the game a bit of a cheaper feel. The backgrounds are nowhere near as impressive as they were in the classics, usually ending up as a blurry blank color with not a lot going on. The character designs themselves though in these levels are quite expressive. There's a ton of fun animations you see inside the ball, in fact, quite a bit more than the originals, such as your monkey swaying side to side to gain speed. One thing that's kind of weird is no matter who your character is, on the minimap it just has Ai. Why? These levels are spread throughout the main game, but it should be noted that this game has its own challenge mode, which takes these levels, puts them all on a sandwich or 3 sandwiches, let's just say sliders, and bam, it's kind of like classic Monkey Ball, I guess. There's beginner, advanced, and expert per the usual course, although what's really weird is expert actually has more stages than advanced. These levels are pretty good overall, but the physics definitely aren't the same. It doesn't really feel like you're playing the classic Super Monkey Ball games, it kind of feels like we have Super Monkey Ball at home. The physics are a bit more slippery. From what I understand, although I've always gotten this wrong, so be nice to me, in the old games you were more so controlling the stages themselves, or the gravity, but in Adventure you're truly controlling, well, the character, meaning that the entire game has a different feel to it that I can't really describe. But like I stated earlier, I really do think the level design makes up for this. Something kind of funny is that one stage in Expert, I swear, gets copied again, Banana Blitz. Yeah, without a doubt. These are the same stages, with the goal on the right and all the blocks, and both I just cheese it. This couldn't have been a coincidence, could it? It should be noted that there are also exclusive stages for the PlayStation Portable version. I don't have too much to say about these, they are pretty much more the same type of levels from the console versions. In fact, I'm sure these are just stages that got cut for whatever reason. But you know, it's nice to have a little bonus. Some of them seem to rely on assets from the others though, so it is a possibility that these were kind of designed last minute. Who knows, it's not like anyone talks about this game, so we're just kind of left guessing. One thing that made me laugh about some of these stages is the names. Some of them are what you'd expect, some just make no sense, per usual of the series. There were 2 names in particular that made me laugh. There was one level called ZZ Stop, obviously a pun based off of the rock band ZZ Top, and Slipknot based well off of, you know, the band named Slipknot. Okay, listen, I know Slipknot's technically a word. It doesn't have to mean the band. But the fact that they named this one ZZ Stop, they knew what they were doing. Come on. Anyways, to conclude the stages, they're fine. Probably what I would consider to be the best part of the game at least, and a nice little side mode to boot. Sure, they're not as good as the classic games, but you know, they're better than some of the games we've seen since the Golden Age, so you gotta give them points for that. Alright, where were we? We meet the King of Jungle Island, he basically tells you to go do more missions and then he'll ring the bells when he's ready. The next section of Jungle Island's missions are relatively inoffensive. Here is where we're introduced to one of the game's main mechanics, the cannon, which propels you in the air and sometimes lets you fly from place to place, well, assuming there's the ring present, which isn't always there. This may seem random at first, but the ring is supposed to be based off of the classic Super Monkey Ball minigame Monkey Target. You never had to aim with a cannon for that, but you would basically go off the ramp, press A at the right time, and would be able to fly, using the wind and physics to your advantage to find a balance between speed and height. A very addictive minigame that lots of people remember. The flying in Super Monkey Ball Adventure is actually fairly good. I feel like once you get used to it, it's not too bad to navigate. However, the cannons themselves are really archaic in design. You don't get any sort of reticle to aim your monkey. This kind of sucks. I mean, even Mario 64 had a reticle. It wasn't good, sure, but it was there. Here, you're left to kind of blindly aim. Your view is of the top of the cannon and not where you're going to be aiming, which is weird. You get used to it, but I do think this is quite a detriment in design. Damn!
Wait, oh my god. Is that how you get to that banana? Trigger flashback, please.
Oh man, look at that banana on the island. Don't you want that?
Yeah.
Doesn't it tempt you?
Yeah.
Doesn't it tease you?
Yeah.
Let's get it.
Yeah.
Come on, come on. Oh! Here, you try.
Fallout.
Let's jump off this thing here. Maybe we can land on top of the island that has a banana on it.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Oh,
Come on.
it's impossible. Why do they tempt you with that? They tease you with a banana you can't get.
What a bunch of bullcrap.
Some other missions here include killing birds, because why not? Giving a monkey bananas for charity. These become a recurring mission throughout the game, and they're some of my favorite because they're easy and not confusing. And then you deliver a monkey a lunch that's in a balloon. What?
What would that be, a turkey and helium sandwich? Yummy.
Here we also get our first of many chants in the game. The chanting system is one we'll get quite acquainted with over the course of our adventure. It's similar to the ocarina seen in the Nintendo 64 Zelda games. You press certain inputs and combinations to trigger an action. What's really messed up is there's no EE-poo input you do. You know, like the main chant of Super Monkey Ball 2? Why doesn't this game have that? Our first chant is the boxing glove. This is clearly a reference to Monkey Fight, again taking liberties from the classic games. For now, this serves the purpose of destroying those rocks we saw earlier, and also punching these enemies called the Naysayers. The Naysayers are strange. They don't really fit in this world in my opinion, and are actually very annoying to both deal and figure out with. In the developer diaries, which we're quoting again, there's actually quite a bit of information about them. Sega apparently asked to add a form of antagonist to appeal to a wider audience. Yeah, I'm sure these sold so many copies of this game. I don't know, they feel out of place. It took 3 months to get these characters correct. Sega originally wanted them to be kind of like ghost characters, which they couldn't get working with the engine apparently. The developers go on to say that
There were not mechanics within the game for combat, as these characters were never envisaged from the game brief.
Okay, Google Translate from PR Speak to English says, these were added last minute and we didn't know what the f to do with them.
they do feel like a last-minute addition, and the interview seems to confirm that. The screen also goes super black and white whenever you get in the vicinity of one. Weirdly enough, in the PlayStation Portable version, the Naysayer and your character retain their color. The pictures from the photographer missions also don't look horrible in the PSP version. They look pretty in line with the rest of the game, a genuine improvement. And then you get to the GameCube version. Oh god, what is that? It looks like a photo that a Game Boy camera would take or something. Anyways, once you're done messing around doing missions, you get called back to the Royal Castle. Here you have to play one of the strangest missions in the entire game. I talked about this in my first review as well. Basically, there's a circle of monkeys and you're supposed to hit the princess and prince. The king asks you, did you find enough clues? Dude, I have no idea what you're talking about. Maybe I'm just not cultured royally, but nothing about these monkeys would suggest to me that anyone is a prince or princess. They all look like generic NPCs to me. So I just guessed, knocked 2 monkeys over. The king yells at me. Okay, let's try again. Nope. Okay, what the hell? At the end of the 3rd try, the king says he lost faith in me. Okay. Sorry, it's obvious who the prince and princess were, and then it just jump cuts to saying you found them. Excuse me, what? Like, I didn't do that in editing or anything. That is genuinely what happened in the game, and it makes no sense.
This is all speculation, but my guess is that this was supposed to be like a guessing game where you're supposed to go around and find clues, and maybe there are some clues left around, but I feel like at the last minute they added that automatic win because they figured it was either too confusing or too difficult to navigate. I don't know. No one talks about this game. How am I supposed to know?
It kind of reminds me of that one mission in Sonic 06, where you have to talk to the Royal Guards to find the captain, when the captain is just the guy who gives you the mission. I don't don't find these missions where you have to lie about the objective to the player really fun or rewarding at all. In fact, it comes off super cheap and kind of lazy. Anyways, you and the gang are tasked with becoming the official wedding organizers of a wedding between two cities, Monkeytropolis and Congra-La. Then you're given the chant that warps you for the next not just one, but 2 worlds. That's kind of interesting, giving a player a choice of where to go next. Well, because it's next in line, let's check out Zootopia. Zootopia is actually really cool in concept. It's a carnival-style world, but everything's gone wrong, and I mean wrong. Roller coasters going haywire, children crying, monkeys getting dunked constantly, people walking around with cat heads on. This whole area reminds me of something you'd see in a Tim Burton film. I love the fat cat branding it goes for, and it's cool to see the giant fat cat overlooking the entire carnival. This is probably the game's best world, just from a thematic standpoint. Our first mission we see here almost immediately requires us to use a next chant called the Invisiball, which turns you invisible. I know, it's a big shocker. This mission requires you to be stealthy. At first, you gotta sneak past this monkey robot, then you have a barrage of obstacles to avoid. If you get hit 3 times, then you lose. You know what's BS? Is that there's little bumps just in the ground that can count as a hit. Oh, come on, that was ridiculous. The minigame is exhausting. I kinda hate it, to be quite honest. It's a bit of an endurance, and if you mess up, you lose like a minute of your life. So while most of the Zootopia area is somewhat interesting, there's one section of this place that is complete and utter misery. It's basically just a maze built on a bunch of ramps. There are also dead monkey soldiers everywhere. It's kind of depressing, actually. What happened to this guy? He's just dead. A moment of silence, please. Actually, f it, who cares? Not only is this area poorly designed, the missions they built for it are abhorrent. They aren't hard, but maybe the most monotonous thing I've done in a video game. There's this spoiled brat who yells at you to get 8 balloons, for instance. The thing that sucks about this is that you can't bring all the balloons to him at once. You need to go and get 1 balloon at a time and give it back to him and repeat. Good God. I think at this point, it's fair we talk about the story mode's minimap. It only gives you a very vague idea of where to go. I never really understood it, to be honest, throughout my entire playthrough. I think you're the white arrow, and the yellow arrows are something important within your objective, such as, well, here are the balloons, but the fact that there's no layout or pathways shown is really unfortunate and makes this kind of useless. It doesn't make sense to navigate because of that. My point is, it makes a mission like this a lot harder than it needs to be. You can only get an idea of the general direction without seeing exactly what path you need to take. At one point, I was not sure if I had all 8 balloons he needed or not, so I talked to him, figuring, okay, let me figure out how many I have left. He asked me, are you stupid or something? I answered yes. I did call myself stupid, I get it, because I thought that was how you continued the mission. But no, if you answer yes and call yourself stupid, the mission starts all over again. I do feel a little stupid right now, I'm not gonna lie.
Why did they put that trick question in there? Why couldn't it be like the other monkeys where it's like, do you want to continue? Some developer, whether they knew it or not, was being a complete jerk there.
The other monkeys in this game ask you if you intend to complete the mission still, but no, this one particular asshole nerd monkey gives you a trick question. The other mission in this area is more of the same thing. You have to pick up trash in a maze. You use the new sticky ball chant, which lets us cling to objects or just have objects like this trash or leaves cling on to us. Thankfully, you can bring them all up at once this time, but it's really just more of the same. Anyways, we soon come to a problem in Zootopia. A lot of the missions are ones that you kind of just can't complete yet. Turn big. All right, can't do that mission yet. While we don't know what chance yet, it's clear we need to unlock something else, and for what it's worth, in the other world we could have gone to, Moonhaven, it's the same thing if you go there first, meaning the developers wanted you to swap between worlds to complete the others.
I think this wasn't a horrible idea, but I'm not a huge fan of this when it comes to this game. I think this game is already really generally confusing, even when you have the appropriate chance, so adding in this whole thing between switching between 2 worlds, it makes everything just so much more confusing than it ever needed to be.
Alright, well, we ran out of things to do here, so I guess the only logical solution would be to visit Moonhaven. This place is a monkey world in the sky, and an industrial place with gears, switches, and workers. Honestly, I really like the concept of this. It's a unique idea for a world. Visually, it's interesting, the music's catchy, and that's the most positive I could say about this world, because just about all the gameplay is sheer chaos.
You see, this was just going to be a normal review at first. You know, graphics, controls, music, and there's nothing wrong with that style, don't
So there's a few problems with this world, okay? Let's start with the big one, and this is a problem with the whole game, honestly, but just bear with me. The biggest issue with Super Monkey Ball Adventure is how the missions the monkeys give you are executed. I haven't touched on it too much since it hasn't been that much of an issue until this world. Let's say you do any given mission. You talk to the monkey, they give the task to you, you try to do it. Oops, you died. Well, that sucks. I guess I have to try again. Okay, where am I? If you fall out, the mission's over. You need to talk to that monkey again to have another chance at the mission. That's one thing. But often what happens is you will end up literally like a minute away from that mission, and that's not even an exaggeration. So you need to seriously take a hike just to get another chance, making every fail feel extremely punishing. That's one issue. The other issue I have is that some of these missions are either confusing to figure out what to do and or hard to execute, meaning there's a high chance of death and therefore starting over. This game requires trial and error, no way around it, but the only part it focuses on is, well, the error. Does that make any sense? You get what I mean. There was one mission to me that felt outright impossible, and the objective was never clear to me. This is one of the first missions you use the wood ball chant, which, well, turns you into a ball of wood. This has two uses. One, you can now light yourself on fire and transport fire as well, and two, you can float on water. Now let's analyze what we're seriously being asked to do here. This monkey says the buttons raise the water level in the reservoir, and that'll help you reach the 3 frozen pumps where you can melt the ice. The side description, which moves painfully slow, also says that you need to thaw the water pumps. So okay, let's do that. Well, the first water pump's ice keeps returning, but also you need to be able to carry the fire to the next torch, which you can only get across by raising the water levels, which puts out the fire. There isn't another fire spawn in the level, this is it. So I thought maybe I was just doing something wrong and I needed to go to the top of the level even without the fire to do something. Keep in mind though that you still need to play well to get to the top. If you fall, you start all over again, taking about a minute to get back. But also there's these little rotating platforms, and there's a possibility that if you turn one the wrong way and fall down, you have to start the mission from the very beginning. You essentially can't win. You can't turn it back. It's basically a soft lock. So I got to the top of this hellhole after many trial and error, and there's just nothing. So let's analyze all of our possible options to achieve this objective one last time. Burning the ice we're able to doesn't work. It respawns. We can't transfer a fire to the next pump because it goes away due to the water, and there's nothing we can do at the top. I gave up on this mission right then and there, and I know what some people are going to say, look it up on Google. I am sure there's a valid solution to this, but I don't like looking up guides to play my games, especially one that I'm doing for a review. I'm trying to give you an honest retrospective here as a genuine player, and it's just not a mission I could figure out by myself. I'm not saying if a game is confusing, it's bad, but if it's so unclear that I don't even know how to win, I think that's a problem personally. All I can say is it's a damn good thing this game doesn't require every mission to be done. You can pick and choose your missions to get to 60%. Going a bit out of order here and cycling back to Zootopia just for this point, another mission I had no clue what to do was one where you had to knock a roller coaster that's gone wild off of the tracks. Sure, so that's a simple enough concept, but how do you do it? The track itself is very hard to build speed on, so at first I didn't even think about the idea of trying to catch up to it. I tried the sticky ball ability, but found this, along with the other chants that modify your ball, slow you down. I tried the scalar ball ability. This is one you get in Moonhaven. It makes you big and strong to see if I would have more leverage in knocking the carts off the roller coaster. Nope, I fell right off. I tried the boxing glove when it loops around in a last-ditch effort, and that didn't do anything either. What you're supposed to do is wait for the roller coaster to loop around and chase it. Now look, this seems super obvious in retrospect, and I think there's only one reason why it isn't when you're actually playing the game. When you talk to this monkey, the roller coaster starts from super far away. I timed it, and it takes roughly 35 seconds for the roller coaster to come close to you. This goes against all of your instincts as a player. It makes you feel like you shouldn't be waiting. It didn't really come to my mind to wait for this. If the roller coaster started right next to you and the camera even potentially showed it, or a monkey just said to chase it outright, you might think, okay, that's what the game is directing my attention to, let's do that. But instead, because there's nothing, my instinct said I needed to do something else, and I tried a plethora of things to knock it off. Super Monkey Ball Adventure ultimately just doesn't help the people who are playing it out at all. It's a very unfriendly game in that regard, and I can't help but feel as if the developer's tunnel vision and just assumed what you would do in a given mission is obvious, when in actuality, it's usually extremely misleading and or confusing what you're supposed to do. Also, this mission's kind of dark. You essentially just kill kill all these monkeys, like just knock them into the water, you don't see them again, and the coasters are never seen. So I'm just gonna add like 10 to the death count, more like a murder count. Moonhaven continues to be an extremely unfriendly environment. There's a mission where a monkey requests that you bring him 6 balloons. Of course, you can't do them all at once. It's one at a time, just like in Zootopia. The first few are near you and the rest are far off with no clear indication of how to get there. This mission specifically is where not spawning back at that monkey becomes extremely frustrating, as you'll die a lot trying to figure this one out. I think if this mission let you do everything in one line and you spawned back at where the monkey was each fallout, it wouldn't even be that bad. But I think the way it was designed just leads to our frustrations here. On top of that, there are 2 balloons placed like right next to each other, but you can't bring both at once. So that's the definition of busy work right there. I mean, it doesn't require any new skill to succeed. There's an enemy on this path with these balloons, which made me think that, okay, don't go here. I don't know if I can even use chance with balloons. When you see an enemy in the path, a player instinctually might think that this isn't the correct solution. Well, if you go to the bottom, it's another dead end, another enemy, and here's where I started to find the naysayers really confusing. One of them you have to attack with fire, which doesn't make sense in a video game context, because he's shooting flamethrowers at you. In Pokemon, for instance, you wouldn't use a fire type on a fire type. Another naysayer you need to get eaten by and use a scalar ball to blow it up. These again feel like it was really obvious to the developers and no one else. So then you think, well, at the bottom, let me use these air targets to get back up. These don't give you nearly enough control in the air to do so and often lead to your death. With trial and error, it most certainly can be figured out, but you need immense patience to come to the conclusions the game developers wanted you to get to. There's another mission here where you're tasked with lighting 6 individual torches. So I went around looking for torches. At first, I went exploring and found something that looked like a torch, but there was nothing else like that. There's instead these sewer panels, kind of, that take fire, which, okay, let's say you figure that out, and let's say you assume that's what the torches are. You need to do these precise movements in this bowl of rainwater to get to the ramps, or else your fire goes out. This takes insane amounts of trial and error to get all done in one sitting. I can't stress this enough. Falling and being respawned somewhere else totally kills this type of mission, completely. This is something you need to be able to do again repeatedly. This isn't an easy task. This isn't something you're gonna do in 1, 2, or even 5 sittings. You're gonna fail. Think about the original Super Monkey Ball. Sure, there was a life system, but each attempt was instantaneous. In the second game, lives were a moot point, encouraging the player to try a plethora of strategies to win the level. It was never that punishing.
This game feels like they really did try to be Super Monkey Ball. To their credit, there's a lot of the game there. There's the monkeys, there's the boxing, there's the flying, there's the funny humor. But they didn't take the best thing from the original Super Monkey Ball, the simplicity and the addictiveness of it.
I was able to get about 4 torches lit before I had no idea where to go next. There's a ramp off in the distance you could maybe get to from the bowl, but it doesn't look like you can really get there, as there's a clear gap between it and the sky, and there's water that puts out your flame right in between. Instead, I thought I had to ride in this bowl of fire that circles around to get on top of it, but nope, I get hit by an invisible wall. I tried jumping back on it at a pivotal point to land, but that was just too hard to pull off. What you're supposed to do is get a bunch of speed and just bum rush that ramp like your life depends on it, which you're not going to want to do because of how risky it feels and how punishing it is if you actually fail. I think they even wanted you to keep the flame, which is ridiculous. Like, I'm pretty sure that's intended, because the only way you can get a flame again is if you sit pixel perfect on the edge for the one circling torch to come back around. The quantity of precise movement and bullshit you have to do is some of the most ridiculous game design I think I've ever seen, and really should not be expected of any player. Anyways, getting to 60% in Moonhaven, no 2 ways around it, is seriously painful. Moonhaven is notorious for being the worst level in Super Monkey Ball Adventure, and if I had to guess, most kids playing this game quit around here. I did, personally. It's monotonous, confusing, difficult, punishing, and just not designed well. But I pushed onwards, so let's return to Zootopia now that we have enough chance and can solve more missions. Float in the air. Okay, never mind! Once you get to 60% in Zootopia, the game introduces a new concept, anti-gravity monkey ball, kind of. You see, the previously mentioned sticky ball is given an entirely new functionality here, of being able to climb up architecture. These sections are incredibly lengthy. The biggest issue with this section is that there are fans on the walls that you need to seriously practice getting past. If you fall, you gotta climb all the way back up. Again, difficulty isn't bad in video games, but when the game doesn't give you adequate checkpoints, I just can't help but feel annoyed. It should respawn you somewhere near that. If you fall at the very top, for instance, there's zero forgiveness. It's literally like a 5-minute climb. I'm gonna play this all in fast forward. Look at how slow this climb is. Suffice to say, you're gonna be doing this a lot on your first playthrough.
And I think this is sad to an extent, because I do think the sticky ball concept is actually not a bad idea. It's not doomed from the get-go. It just would have been cooler if A, it was faster, B, it was a little more forgiving if you did fall off, and C, you were doing something more fun, like dodging obstacles. I don't know, anything besides boring maze navigation.
Alright, listen. I've been very negative at this point, and honestly, it's hard not to be, so I'm sorry if that's been overwhelming. I wanted to take a minute, step aside from the story, and I think it'd be fair to take a little break, a little breather, and let's talk about a few positive aspects of this game. I know, there are some. Throughout Super Monkey Ball Adventure, there are a lot of NPCs as previously established. These are the ones who give you the missions. Why am I mentioning this again? Well, the PSP version of Super Monkey Ball Adventure has what's known as trump cards lying around, basically a collectible. If you grab it, it gives you a monkey in a PSP exclusive minigame, Monkey Trumps. Each monkey here is then given a serious character description and statistics, where you can play these cards against each other, even online, a first for the series. I do appreciate the fact that they really went out of their way to give every Monkey Ball NPC some additional lore. You can even play as some of these characters, at least in the minigames, if you unlock them in the shops found around the main story with your bananas. On top of that, in the PSP version, they added a new character called the Mysterious Traveler. Ooh! Like, I'm not gonna sit here and recite everything this guy says, there's a lot of dialogue, but essentially he gives you serious lore that ties into Super Monkey Ball 2's story. If you find and talk to him in all 5 locations, you unlocked a new character to play as, Future Ai. He's the one who gives you the chance, and now you can use him in the story in challenge modes. I really appreciate Traveler's Tales going out of their way to add some serious world building to this franchise. Now, whether or not they did it well, or it was even needed, I mean, listen, it's a story about cartoon monkeys. I mean, it's not going to be the next great American novel or anything, but it's something that I do appreciate the game developers considered adding. The PSP version in general is probably what I think the best version of the game is, although that's not super high praise. They just added all these bonuses mainly, the previously mentioned exclusive stages, and I think this game just looks a little bit better on the handheld and a smaller screen. There was also the PS2 version, which lets you transfer Future Ai over it. You can't do it on GameCube, unfortunately. I tried. But also, the PS2 version has, like, really long loads. To mask it, they added these little turning gears, which, like, yay. This is not just a poorly disguised way to hide the long load times. This is fun gameplay. Whoop-de-frickin-do. But we're talking about the positives right now. The minigames are good. Overall, I think Monkey Racing is probably one of the best racing games in the franchise, although it's a little disappointing that all the tracks look the same. Monkey Boxing is Monkey Boxing, you punch. Monkey Target is unfortunately a bit disappointing. The levels remain the same between each rounds, although you can unlock more overall, and they're super long loads, worse than Sonic 06's, I think. Yeah, like without a doubt. But the new minigames they added are actually okay. They aren't super mind-blowing or anything, but let's cover them before we move on to the final world of the game. Monkey Bounce is actually quite fun. You bounce around a nice ocean environment with the goal to cover as much ground as possible. I'm surprised this wasn't used as an actual challenge mode theme or something. It looks fairly detailed. There are items in the air that can freeze the other monkeys or just make them smaller, and it's actually fairly addictive and fun to play with friends. We have a game called Monkey Cannons, probably the weakest of the new games. You and 3 other monkeys have colored towers, and you gotta destroy them as much as you can within the time limit. You ever play Boom Blocks? It's kinda like that. Final game is Monkey Tag, and hot damn, did Mario Galaxy steal from this game? Oh my goodness. All jokes aside, it's chaotic, dumb fun. You fire bombs and bananas at your friends, and it's not super in-depth or anything, but look at this. It's entertaining. The new games are probably some of the more shallow in the series up to this point, but I think they were fairly creative, interesting, and not bad as genuine party games with your friends. Plus, there's a lot of unlockables with these, as you're able to unlock new modes and levels in the story mode shops, along with using the random NPC characters in the games. One more positive before we get back to the main game. The music in this game is really good. I like it, at least. I think it's a pretty well done soundtrack, my favorites being Zootopia's creepy theme and Moonhaven's industrial theme, but almost every song is a winner here, except for one, which we're going to talk about in just a second. The only really disappointing part about this music is what I talked about earlier. The challenge mode just reuses songs from Monkey Ball 1, which kind of sucks. I love Monkey Ball 1, but like, you guys couldn't come up with new songs? Also, I love these cartoon drawings that we see in between load screens. They're nicely drawn. Even the concept art's pretty good here, and they always make me smile every time, even if I think the in-game graphics are a little weak.
Alright, enough dilly-dallying. I know, I am delaying the inevitable of getting back to this game. You know, there was also a Flash game tie-in for this game.
It was called Super Monkey Disco Ball, yeah, and it was on the Super Monkey Ball Adventure website. Nowadays, this requires Flashpoint to play, which says on the website it gives a false positive for a virus. Yeah, you know what? Let's just download YouTube footage. I don't trust any site that says that. It's basically a Dance Dance Revolution ripoff that's based around the in-game chant system. II is out of the ball for some reason. How did that happen? They call Scalar Ball the Scale Ball. That's not what it's called. It's the Scalar Ball. How dare you? Thankfully, this game spawned this beautiful picture of II that I will probably use in the thumbnail for this video, because look at this. This sums up pretty much how I feel about this game. Okay, I'm procrastinating. You take down Fat Cat by doing some weird puzzle that I had no idea how to do, and therefore I can't really describe it to you, but we finish it and get the chant for the final world, Monkeytropolis. Well, to tell you the truth, the final world, which is a combination of two worlds actually, known as Monkeytropolis and Kongri-La, it's not as bad as Moonhaven, but it does suffer from most of the problems as the rest of the game. One big issue is that there's this really obnoxious noise that plays throughout the level. It's explained in the game what's causing it. It's not a glitch or anything, but it was so obnoxious that I literally muted my TV, and I'm not kidding. Again, the word I'm going to use to this game is that it's unfriendly. They didn't think about how that'd be annoying for someone playing it. They didn't care. What's weird about this world is, as mentioned, it's a combination of two, and they didn't make Kongri-La separate from Monkeytropolis. So every time that you want to go to Kongri-La, you have to travel all the way through Monkeytropolis to get there, which takes what feels like forever. I think this is supposed to fall in line with the idea that you're reuniting these two kingdoms, so it's probably easier to just have them both here. I just wish you could warp to Kongri-La. Later, you do unlock a shortcut that connects the two worlds, but that's not immediate. In Monkeytropolis, we get two new chants. One is called the Tether Ball, which lets you latch onto monkeys to drag them. Here, it's used to drag monkeys to prison, because there's basically a plot where your monkey moves up the police force ladder. And I'm sure there's a political joke I could throw in here somewhere, but I would really just rather not. The other chant is probably the most forgettable in the entire game. It's called the Speedy Ball. Makes it go fast. Wee! Yeah!
I used this one time in my playthrough and I totally forgot it existed until I sat down and wrote this script.
Yeah, so use this for a race, and I kind of do like this giant speedway section. Points again for taking liberties from the classic games, since this is clearly a reference to Monkey Race. They didn't do Monkey Golf though anywhere in this game. So yeah, you know what? This part of the game didn't bother me too much. Then I got to a side room with another sticky ball section that takes 10 years to do. Okay, never mind. It's ruined. It's just ruined. This one is as bad as the previous one, except now it's confusing on top of being frustrating. Often there are pathways you think you can go, but they lead to dead ends, and sometimes you just fall off and have to start all the way over again. There are also these platforms that you have to rotate on while being sticky. These parts of the game feels like something you'd see in Mission Impossible. My whole body would just tense up whenever doing it, and I would be so scared. On top of that, when you get to the ledge you're supposed to drop off of, it's really not clear where to go. This whole section is confusing, but even if you know what to do, it's slow. Then you get to deliver a letter later and do it all over again. Well, besides that, this whole final area didn't bother me that much. To be honest though, I don't know if it's because I adapted to the game or it's just genuinely fine. Kongri-La is kind of interesting, I think. You get the final chant here, the hover ball. This is basically a jump, but also you can float over water and fly a bit. It's used quite a bit in Kongri-La to navigate, as a lot of this world is water-based. I mainly use this to cheese going to areas that I couldn't figure out where to go normally. No mission here really bothered me. I think this is probably the closest this game comes to being good. If you take away the sticky ball hell, there's a good mix of levels between monkey target shenanigans, bringing enemies back to a base, which feels less painful because the worlds are genuinely smaller. There's a healthier amount of missions to play out. You know, it's fine. You reunite the two lands in an overly dramatic cutscene, Gongon f***ing dies, and then you return to Jungle Island.
You might think with the scope of this game, it would be something exciting, like a Mario Galaxy-sized boss that you have to use this sticky ball to go up, or something that would require to use all of your chants. But no. You're playing Simon Says.
You reunite the lands, everyone's happy. Well, except for one person, me, because this game was painful. Also, if you don't get to 100%, you don't get the true ending. So go back, do more busy work, figure out that horrible water puzzle, and there you go. You get a special cutscene where II from the future comes to visit you one last time. Here, he tells you how Monkey Ball was created. Not the game, but like the ball that they're in. Also, this is Baby's dad from the future. Like, the idea is that this is an all grown-up II, but like, you know what? I'm just gonna give them points for trying to add to the lore. I'm not gonna analyze this too much. It's a game about cartoon monkeys. It's not that serious. let's wrap up this damn review. Congratulations, you've completed Super Monkey Ball Adventure. Thanks, I don't feel any satisfaction though.
So look, I know this review has been fairly negative. I know I've ranted in parts, and I gotta call it how it is. I don't think Super Monkey Ball Adventure is a good game. That being said, I don't think it was doomed, and I think there were really good ideas here that just weren't executed well.
The concept was never doomed from the start. I think the team kind of just didn't know what to do with it. They did try to make it fit as a Monkey Ball game. There are classic levels that are good. There's all the lore. There's Monkey Target and Monkey Fight as mechanics in the game. An open world Monkey Ball game has potential. It's fun to control the monkey. It's fun to mess with the ramps. Sonic Adventure did the same sort of thing, just did it a lot better. The main issue with Monkey Ball Adventure is something I said earlier. It doesn't feel like it was catered for the players. It's an unfriendly game. I feel like the developers didn't really understand that what they made was confusing or frustrating. I can't help but feel there was some sort of tunnel vision going on, and it's fair. Sometimes if you work on something for so long and you're so passionate about it, I think it's valid to make the mistake of just assuming what you made is good. I feel like there's two things that probably happen with game development. One is that this game didn't get enough product testing, and I'm not saying like no one tested it. I'm sure there was some level of testing, but like, did they really test it, you know, like as in show it to casual players? Did they have these players do Jungle Island, or did they have them do Moonhaven? Because I can't imagine any tester would give Moonhaven a pass. But the other thing is, I can't help but feel like this game just needed some more time of development. Maybe a year, but a year that just wasn't there. The Wii was coming out in a few months. Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz would take over as the next Super Monkey Ball title very shortly. And not only was it new generation, but new graphics, new art style. Banana Blitz was sort of a reboot. This game had to come out before then, and I do wonder how much of that internal pressure led to Monkey Ball Adventure coming out the way it did. I think it's kind of sad to think about this game because Super Monkey Ball Adventure really could have only come out in the time that it did. I don't think you could do this game again nowadays. Monkey Ball has to focus on its roots because, well, it's trying to establish itself as a franchise again. It likely can't take such a risk, or the series might just die. At the time Adventure came out, Monkey Ball was on top of the world. Okay, maybe not the top of the world, but it was somewhat relevant. People loved it. It had a reputation of being one of the best, unlike today where it's trying to build that back up again. 4 games tarnish the legacy of this series like this one or Banana Blitz.
Despite its faults, I can tell the game developers had fun with it. I can tell they tried. Sometimes though, it's not enough, and it just didn't end up being a good product, but I do appreciate the fact that they did try. There is heart and soul put into this game, which is more than I can say about other bad games I've played, so I do appreciate that.